Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the 31-Day Mind Shift Challenge. My name is Dr. Lori Monaco. I am the founder and CEO of Align Yourself, Inc. I am part of the dynamic duo for the 31-Day Challenge. I am one of the people, but my other half is not going to be on today. There was a little family emergency that he needed to tend to, and Mark Boldazar, he will be missed, but he'll be back on for our last session. So this is session number 4 of 5 sessions for the 31-Day Challenge. And just to remind you that we have had 3 already, and our last session will not be next Saturday. It will actually be on Monday, the 31st, so that we can check in with you. So we are live on Facebook as well, and hopefully we will get some people to jump on, but it doesn't really matter if you're live with us as long as you want to watch this at a later time. Ruthie's on, I see, in Facebook, so this is great. And for those of you that have not had a chance to actually view the other videos, but still, want to be a part of the 31-Day Challenge, listen, you could do any 31 days. You could literally start this next week if you wanted to, and go back to the other videos, because each week we ask you different questions, and each week we explain that particular topic, and then we ask those questions, and then it all culminates to the next session, the 5th session, which will be on the 31st. We're going to go over all of those questions and answer them, and then if you have questions on your questions, that's the time to check in with us. It's a 30-minute session. I see Tony's on. Hi, Tony. So this is great. So happy to have those of you that are on watching. Okay, so, and Marianne Buston, happy that you're here. So glad that you are here. So I usually am checking on my Facebook and saying hi to people as they're jumping on, like writing it in the comments. It helps when you have somebody else here. And since my partner isn't going to be here today, it's going to be a little bit more challenging for me to do that without having to stop talking and focus on what I'm writing, because I'm not that talented. I can't do both. So let me just recap about the last 3 sessions that we've had with the 31-Day Mind Shift Challenge. Okay. So the first week that we did, it was about getting clear. It was about really getting down to what it is that you want in your life. Whether it's your New Year's resolutions, if you want to call it that, or if it's goals, personal, business, whatever. But being clear about what it is that you want, and then why you want it. So that's the questions that were asked that first week, is what do you want and why do you want it? And the why doesn't stop with just one why. You have to ask more than one why. Why do I want that? Okay, well, why do I want that? And why? And why? It's just like one of those annoying kids when they're like 3 years old, they're constantly asking you why? Because they want greater understanding. And it's important for you to have greater understanding of why it is that you want what you want, because it also adds emotion to it. Okay, that was week 1. Week 2, or session 2, however you want to look at it, is that we were talking about the state of stagnation. We were talking about, why people get stuck, how to get out of that fixed point. Sometimes when we're on our journey, we're walking slowly, sometimes we're running, sometimes we're skipping, and sometimes we just sit still, like we just stop, and hopefully we don't go backwards. Sometimes that does happen, but for many people for 2021, they felt stagnant, they felt stuck. And believe me, I was one of those people. So it was a fabulous conversation. So that was session 2. And the questions from session 2 were, what was holding you back in 2021? How strongly are you dissatisfied? What are you tolerating? And what would have to change for you to have what you want? Okay. And then in session 3, it was just move, taking action. The question is, we were talking about gut and instinct. And the question is, what are the actions you can take, and not just based on your past experiences? And for today, we're going to be talking about resistance. Resistance is really the thing that gets people to stay stagnant. It's and the worst part about it is most of the time we don't know why we have the resistance. Like, where is that coming from? What's going on, you know? And so the resistance has to be identified. I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted because one of my kids called, and she doesn't usually call, and I'm hoping it's not an issue. Like, I hope there's nothing going on. So hopefully she'll call me back. Anyway, so let me just talk about resistance really quickly. You might have to cut this off short today. Oh, okay, never mind. It wasn't anything important. Let me just get this out of the way. Isn't this terrible? I'm texting while I'm doing my thing because my kid, I worry about my kid. Okay, sorry about that. All right, here we go. So resistance. My phone texting while I'm on is a resistance. Like, it's preventing me from doing what I need to do. It's a distraction. Okay, but that's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about distraction. We're talking about resistance. Why do we resist? You know, why is there resistance? Okay, so there's so many ideas behind this. You know, the idea that when we're resisting change, it's the universe's way of really kind of seeing if this is something that we really want to do. I mean, if everything was easy, would we get bored of that? And, you know, there's some people out there and research that says, you know, like that we do need to be challenged. You know, we that's just the way we're built. We need some sort of challenge. If we are not challenged, and it's not even like some research, I'm talking like, okay, think of it physically. Okay. If your body is not physically challenged every single day, we will just get mushy, and our muscles will not be as strong, and our bones will not be as strong. And then we will not be able to be mobile anymore. Okay. So literally getting out of bed physically challenges your body every single day. Now, obviously, if you want to challenge it more, you lift weights, you run, you do exercises, but that is challenging it more for a certain type of benefit. So if you're lifting weights, you want your muscles to get stronger and more, you know, defined or something like that. Maybe you want to lose weight, but that resistance is good. You know, you are going for that very specific goal. So resistance in itself is not a bad thing, but we use the idea of resistance very often as the excuse for not doing something because it's too hard. This is too hard, or like, I'm resisting the change because you don't even really know why. And so you have to identify what the resistances are. Okay. So that's one of the things that I want you to think about, and I want you to write it down. I want you to think about how, if I'm saying that I want this, okay, so let's say you want to make more money at your job. Okay. Let's say you've been on the job for a few years and you feel like, you know, I want to make more money, or maybe you want a different position, like you want to go in a higher position, but you're resistant to it. You're not, like, you've been talking about it for months now, and people are getting tired of hearing you talk about it. So you have to identify what the resistance is. So you could have it real easy across the board and just say, I'm the resistance. You know, like, I'm a business owner. If my business doesn't do well, I have to look at why it's not doing well. And most of the time it's because I wasn't doing what I needed to do. So it's on me. Okay. There are certain things that are out of control, but in the end, it's about me, because I am also the problem solver for my business. So if I hire somebody to do something and it's not done correctly, why is it? Is it actually that person's fault? It could be, but maybe it's that I wasn't clear about what I wanted, or I wasn't following up with them enough. And then if I put all those to the side and go through those and then realize that it really was the other person, they just don't know how to do the job properly, then I would be able to move on and get somebody else. But resistance is not just about you being the resistant piece. Okay. So if you write that down, you say, oh, I'm the resistance. It's me. Okay, fine. It's you, but what else is it? So if we're going back to that job example, Well, I'm not going for it. I'm the resistance. Okay, but why? Why aren't you going for it? What is it that you're not doing and that you're causing that resistance? Okay. Well, I'm not updating my resume. I'm not talking to the people that I need to talk to. I'm not making sure that I have all the qualifications needed for that job. What would you be able to do then? Like, what could you do? Well, I could update my resume. I can talk to the people. I can start looking at the qualifications and get training, or, whatever, or read up or learn or have somebody show me what these pieces that I don't know are to this job. Okay. And the resistance, though, often comes in from fear. Like we resist, like we make so many excuses, that it's this, it's that, and it's mostly fear. And that was a bitter pill for me to swallow for 2021. I've never really viewed myself as a person who's very fearful. I've not lived my best life, for most of my adult life. I've talked about this numerous times in a lot of my shows, but I've found that I wasn't afraid to take chances because I wasn't really afraid to fail, but there was always resistance. And the resistance was that I was always afraid to be who I really was. So there was fear there. And so when I identified the areas of fear, okay, so I'm not fearful of this thing and I'm not fearful of this, but I'm fearful of this. Okay. So for 2021, I met with a lot of resistance. In fact, resistance was my word for the year for 2021. So if you're that person that comes up with a word for the year, and my word for 2022 is faith, because in order to surpass resistance, you have to have faith. You have to, especially if the resistance is the fear, if you are the resistant piece, then you have to have faith. You have to trust in the process. I've trusted in the process with certain things, and then other pieces I just haven't been able to let go of. And there's the resistance, not letting go, being fearful. And when you write these down and say, okay, if I want that better job, what am I up against? Where's the resistance coming from? Maybe you are doing everything you're supposed to do. Maybe you did update your resume and you sent it in and you're qualified for the job and you're not hearing anything back. And you even asked and nobody's giving you answers. And maybe the resistance isn't you. Maybe it's somebody that just doesn't want you in that position and they're dragging their feet because they really don't want to interview you. But you won't know unless you find out. It's that take action, that just move. Okay. But think about the things that you want, the goals that you have set for yourself, that want list. And ask yourself, the question is like, what is preventing me from having this? Like where is the resistance coming from? Okay. The question that we're going to ask you is, what are all the things standing in my way? So I'm asking you, what are all the things standing in your way from achieving those goals? So if you say things like, well, it's my age, it's my training, it's my family, it's my financial situation. Okay. They're excuses. Yes. Some of them are very good excuses. Some of them are legitimate excuses. Okay. But the idea is, don't use those solely as that's it, done deal, can't do this. You have to think beyond it. Okay. So when you write this list, so when you say, what are all the things standing in my way? You're going to list them. And then you have to go further and you say, okay, what could I do about this today? What could I do about this tomorrow? What can I do about this week? This resistance. Okay. So let's say you wanted to move. Let's say you're not happy where you live anymore and you don't, you want to move, like maybe even to a different state. Okay. Your job is here. Your spouse's job is here. You have kids and maybe they're young kids too. They're in school and you say, well, I'm not happy with my job and I'm not happy here. But the kids are still in school. I don't want to take them out. And, I don't know. There's too many variables. So I'm just going to wait until the kids are done with school. Okay. And let's say your kids have quite a ways to go. the question is, are you going to allow yourself to live the unfulfilled life? Because especially if this is coming from that gut, we talked last week about the gut, that insight, that instinct. If your gut really is telling you that I can't be here anymore, I don't want to be here anymore, if you do not heed to that, you will be miserable. And so it's important for you to honor that and say, okay, well, this is what I want. I want to move out of the state. What are the things that are standing in my way? Okay, well, my job, my spouse's job, the kids. Okay, what could you do today that could affect that? All right. Well, did you have conversations with your spouse? Did you have conversations with your kid? Did you say, hey, listen, or sit everybody down and say that, I really don't want to live here anymore. Maybe they have the same idea, maybe they're open to it. Maybe they never even thought about moving. But the moment you put it out there, they were like, okay. Or maybe they will be resistant to it. Okay. But you still have to explain to them what it is that you want and why you want it and why and why and why. And perhaps there could be a reasonable solution created. Maybe everybody agrees and you all say, that's it, we're done. Start looking for another job. Your spouse starts looking, you start looking, kids are all on board. We're going to finish out the school year. And then in June, we're out of here. Or maybe the kids say, I really, I don't really want to leave right now. And could we wait like a year? Can we wait 2 years? Okay. 2 years is better than, let's say, 10 years. The unanswered question, like if you say, well, I have one kid that's got, 8 more years of school to go, and then they're done with high school. And I've got one that has 4 more years, and I'll wait till the kids are done with school. It's such a open statement, because what do you mean by that? By high school? Most people mean high school, but that doesn't mean that's all it is. But you say that, and then all of a sudden the kid decides, oh, well, I'm dating somebody. I'm graduating high school. I'm dating somebody. I'm going to go locally to college, and I'm going to stay living in here, and I got a really good job. Now, all of a sudden, you're here. You're still here. So you have to define it. You have to say, and you have to say what needs to be said. So you voice it out to somebody and say to the family members, I really don't want to be living here anymore. And if the kids are like, well, I really want to finish school. Okay, let's talk about this then. Here are the scenarios. If you finish school, and then we say, okay, as soon as you're done, the last one is done with high school, we're packing up and we're going. Or what can happen is that you start to live your life, and then now you don't want to go. And how are you going to feel, you, meaning the parent that's asking these questions, how are you going to feel when you wait 5 years and then the other people say to you, no, I don't want to go. I don't want to go now. I've got this going on. I've got that going on. And that was the agreement. That's why it's not always best to wait. Maybe the best life for your kids is in that new place. Maybe the best job is in that new place. Maybe more money is in that new place. So that's why it's really important for us to identify the things that stand in our way, and then ask ourselves further questions. Okay, this is standing in my way. What can I do to get that to not stand in my way anymore? Maybe it's finances. Okay, what can I do to not make that stand in my way? What is it that my finances are standing in the way of? Well, I want to start traveling. I want to go on vacations. Okay, how much money do you have extra? Not much. I'm like paycheck to paycheck, and I don't really, I don't go far. Because of that, I'm paycheck to paycheck. By the end of the year, I'm like just about paying off all my bills. And then I'm in debt after the holidays, and I start my year off that way. Okay. So finances are going to be the key piece. All right. That's standing in your way. Again, it's a legitimate excuse, but it's fixable. You have to think outside the box, So if you say the finances are standing in my way, what can you do? Like, what are the options for you to fix that, to get more cash? If you say, well, I want to go on 2 vacations a year, and figure out how much that would be. And then say, oh, let's say it'll be about, I don't know, $8,000 total for the 2. Okay. Where could you get an extra 8 grand? Like, that becomes the goal. So the goal isn't just about, I want to go on the 2 vacations. The goal is, I want to come on 2 vacations, but my finances have to be in order. Okay. So put that plan into play. Put that plan into play. That was hard to say. Say, okay, $8,000. I got to get that $8,000 because the finances are resisting. That's causing my resistance. Okay. And then keep figuring it out. Maybe you do need a different job. Maybe you need a side hustle. You know, maybe you can work it some way so that you can get the vacation at a discounted price, so you don't need as much, you know. But when you start dealing with the resistance, when you start thinking about the resistance and what is preventing you, and if it is you, then you need to look deeper within yourself and say, why am I always resisting the change? Why am I always resisting the unknown? Why am I doing this? If this is all these things that I want on my want list and I don't get them, why am I getting in my own way? It is so easy, and it takes so much less energy for you to do nothing, right? Like, so if you say, well, it's going to be really challenging to do this, or it's going to take a lot of extra time or money or whatever, that's a lot of energy being, put into that. So sometimes it's just easier to stay in the life that you're in. You know, if you're miserable, it's easier to stay in the miserable life. You might not be happy. And we've talked about this over the last 3 weeks, but it takes less energy to do that because you just move along, you just glide along. It's like you're just floating. Well, the pain element has to be higher, has to be greater for you to move past that resistance. You know, like it's just like anything. If that's why we ask the why questions, we make that feeling come into it. Because if there's something that you want to do and you've known, like, you've wanted to do this for a while, you know, like I wanted to write a book for like 20 years. I mean, I remember saying that I wanted to be an author when I was in my 20s. That was like one of my dreams, was to be an author, sitting in my log cabin, in Vermont or New Hampshire, looking out my window and at my big, huge acreage with my farm animals and my pond and all this stuff, and sitting up there and just writing away, looking out that window periodically. And that really was my vision when I was in my 20s. I didn't know what I was going to write. I didn't know, none of that stuff, but that was my vision. And then I just forgot about it for years. And then every so often it would pop up, but would fleet away. And then it was like about 2018, I wrote that as a goal, was that I want to write my book this year. That was my goal. And I didn't check in with the goal. I was doing other things. So, 2018 was a really great year. 2019 was a really great year. 2020 was even a great year with what I was doing with my business. But I didn't check in on it. 2019, that didn't show up in my goals, but it was there for 2018. The reason I know is because I happened to be going through paperwork and I saw it and I was like, look at that. Okay. But this started when I was in my 20s, right? 2021, I wrote my book. It was a compilation book. I mean, I wrote 1 chapter and the intro and the other pieces to the back of the book. My goal is to write a single book, but this was my book, and I'm actually coming out with volume 2 for the same book. But that was what I wanted. The resistance was me. The resistance was, oh, I don't know what I'm going to write about. I don't have enough material. I have stacks of notes. All I have to do is put it in order. So the resistance was me stagnating, like just sitting on it. Well, it's too complicated. It's too hard. And I will just sit. And as a result, when I looked at that goal list on 2018, it's hard enough to think could have, would have, should have, which we do sometimes. And I think what could have, would have, should have in my 20s, what if I had actually done that? What if I started doing that writing that I wanted to do? Where would I have been now? What could have, how could my life have gone? But it's so far away, we're talking, 30, what is it? 30, almost 30 years ago. But 2018, looking at that saying, if I had put that goal out in 2018, if I had written and published my book in 2018, I would have been an author almost 5 years ago. 4 years ago, I can't count. 4 years ago, right? And I might have been on my second, third book. I used to have a thing popping up on there. It said on my, the reminders on my phone, write the books. And that was popping up since 2018. And I took it off. It popped up for like a year. And then I finally took it off because somebody made a comment and said, oh my God, that thing's been popping up for 300 something days. And I was like, oh, yep, that's not good. So that's where it hit me. And that's where the pain became greater than the idea of expending the energy. And so now I'm full throttle into, okay, this is what I want. This is why I want it. What obstacles might I be facing? What could be stopping me? What is the resistance? Where is it coming from? Is it me? If it's me, then I have to deal with it. And that's the whole point of a mind shift. But are there other things that play into it? And if there are, I need to list them. And then I need to come to an idea of, okay, what can I do today to start fixing this? If it's money, if it's my job, if it's my family, if it's, my knowledge, what can I do today to start shifting that? And it might not be just today, it'll probably take days, could take weeks, but start doing that. Okay. So that is the question that I'm leaving you today, is what are all the things standing in your way? Okay. So make sure that you answer that question. And then again, we will do our final session, not Saturday, but on Monday. I believe it's noon. I'm not 100% sure. I think it's Monday at noon. On the 31st, not this coming Monday the 31st. And that will end our 31-day mind shift. We're going to check in with you. We're going to do a review and an analysis. So you won't want to miss that. And again, if you're just catching this, use the other videos, watch the other videos. They're on Facebook and YouTube. Watch the other videos and, try it, just start answering the questions and start your 31 day on the day that you watched the first video. So thanks for joining me today. And I will be back again with my co-host, Mark Boldazar, and we will check in with you. So thanks for being here and have a fabulous weekend. Goodbye, everybody.